What's going on, guys? Your boy Fluff here. Today we're talking about what we use to speed farm GR80s. As you guys know, we're mostly a solo player, so being able to speed farm GR80s in 4 minutes and under, 3 minutes and under is really important to get those gem ups. So without further ado, let's get into our Singularity Speed GR80 setup. Now before we get started, this is basically almost a clone of the Singularity Speed Farm build. We do swap out a couple skills and items to make ourselves a bit more tanky for that GR80 range. But this thing does crazy damage, guys. Again, I rarely finish GR80s in less than 4 minutes, and a lot of the time I've even gotten 2.5 to 3 minute clears. The only thing we don't like about this setup is we don't have a movement skill, and there's really no way to fit it in. But it doesn't really need it, as you guys will see in the clear times. Right away, we'll talk about what changes. We do drop Ring of Royal Grandeur to run a Unity, and since we're dropping Ring of Royal Grandeur, we have to wear the Rathma 6-piece, and we're dropping the Sarah plate. And to make up for this essence loss, we have started to run Bone Spikes instead of Blood Rush. And then instead of running Ingyam setup, because A, we're not using Blood Rush, and B, we kind of need the damage at this GR level, we are running Relina Shadow Hook in the cube, which says every point of maximum essence increases your damage by 0.5%. And suppose Bone Spikes generates 5 additional essence each enemy hit, which is primarily the reason we're running Bone Spikes with sudden impact. This particular rune stuns the enemy for 1 second, which is great because that will proc our Crispin Sentence, and it'll generate more essence than normal. But just like the Singularity Speed Farm version, guys, this revolves around Skeletal Mage with Singularity, which basically says the more essence you have, the more damage your mages are going to do. We juice up our essence with Simulacrum, with Overwhelming Essence passive, with Essence in our Paragon. We try to get Essence on the secondaries of our weapon and our offhand. And of course we double our Essence pool by using Simulacrum with Reservoir. And of course we double that duration by running Haunted Visions in our next slot. Then to try to keep our Essence generation as high as possible, we run Devour with Cannibalize, paired with Dark Reaping. And of course we are running a generator in this build, and Relina Shadow Hook helps us get more essence from Bone Spikes. We also have Land of the Dead here to basically get full essence pool like crazy anytime that's up. Now the damage of these guys obviously gets more for every point of essence you have, but on top of that, of course with the Rathma 6-piece bonus, you get each active Skeletal Mage increases the damage of your minions and Army of the Dead by up to 625%, up to a max of 2500%. So just as long as you have 4 mages out, guys, you get that full 2500%, which is pretty easy to do using Circle of Naluge Evil. We also get more damage by running Scythe of the Cycle. Your secondary skills deal additional up to 300% additional damage while Bone Armor is active, but reduce the remaining duration of Bone Armor by 4 seconds. Of course, guys, we are using Bone Armor, and it's really important to keep that going at all times, not only for mitigation, but to make sure your mages are doing maximum damage. Now on top of that, like we said, we are using Relina Shadow Hook in the cube for this particular setup, as opposed to Ingyam and the Singularity Speed Farm build, which every point of maximum essence increases your damage by 0.5%. So normally, you know, our essence pool is at 310. We should have 330, but we don't have essence pool on the secondary of our Scythe of the Cycle. So this should be at 330, but it's at 310. But basically that gives us half of that as pure damage. So in this case, you know, our essence is at 310, so we get 155 pure damage. Now, when Reservoir is going off, we double our essence pool. So that becomes 620. So that means we get 310% damage, which is crazy. You guys will see. I mean, we one-shot elites like all the time in this build at GR80, which is insane. Just like the Singularity Speed Farm build, guys, we are running Tasker and the Theo. This is pretty much a must-in slot for any pet build. It's amazing damage. I would actually encourage you guys to try once with Tasker and once without, just so you guys see the difference. It's pretty crazy. Then lastly, of course, we're running Crispin Sentence in the cube. Guys, you've heard me explain how Crispin Sentence works like probably 20 times at this point. It's crazy, 100% flat damage just as long as they're snared, and then if they're stunned, which again, guys, they'll be stunned from Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands, they'll be stunned from your on-demand Bone Armor, and you'll get triple damage bonus, which is crazy. Just like the Singularity Speed Farm build, this is a high CDR setup, so the dream is to have around 58%. That would be perfect cooldown in every slot. Unfortunately, again, guys, we don't even have perfect gear. We just fly through GR80s in the setup, but that would be cooldown on your gloves, shoulders, helmet, or gem and helmet, vigilant belt with 8% CDR, weapon with cooldown, offhand with cooldown, both ring slots with cooldown, and of course cooldown inside of your Paragon. We're missing one slot here, and that takes us down to 53.27. You could also get cooldown on your neck. You could go cooldown, crit damage, crit chance. I think ultimately we would prefer to have physical damage here. But if you can't get it on maybe one of your other slots, it's might not be a bad thing to pick up if you just get like a dream rolled haunted vision. Now we're not going to go too in depth into any of these items because again guys, this is almost a clone of the Singularity speed farm build. If you guys haven't checked out that video, definitely give it a look. It's probably the fastest T13 GR90 speed farm setup for the Necro. Almost ready to go out of the box. Pretty squishy, and it does take some practice, but guys, come over to the stream anytime and just see us just fly through 74s, 76s on the Singularity speed farm setup, and we don't die very often. Now because Singularity speed is so good and so fast, we've juiced up our Rathma set quite a bit, and you guys might want to do the same if you're running Singularity speed. Yes, our damage number is pretty darn high for having the Rathma set on, but again guys, we do almost have every piece with the Despair on it. So like most builds guys, maybe you're not going to run 79s right out of the box in 3 minutes, but you're gonna be able to do it, and it's really powerful even without Despairs. But anyways, real quick, let's actually get into the gear and the rolls, what you would ultimately want, what would be the dream. Gloves, we got pretty lucky. This is one of the best items we've gotten this season. These aren't perfect. We'd rather have crit damage, crit chance, cooldown reduction, plus attack speed. We want attack speed. This is a pet build. Attack speed wherever we can get it. This actually rolled amazing secondaries as well. 210 physical, pickup radius. How great is that for speed farming? But again guys, if we could roll off intelligence here for attack speed, we would. On the shoulders, invite, cooldown reduction are the must 3, and then life is actually really great here. You'll see on this setup, we actually run with 950,000 life. This is a big chunk of our toughness. Building up that life pool is really good. On helmet, invite, crit chance, you can run mage damage instead of life. I personally prefer the vitality, especially on something like an ancient helmet, because you can get to up to 1,000 vitality. That really helps us not get one shot. And like always guys, we always want to try to get physical in that secondary. Really gonna make a difference. Chest, invite, also life here again. Juicing up that life pool as much as we can. It's pretty nice. The belt slot, invite, life with cooldown reduction. Pants, really easy to get good rolls here. Invite, armor with physical on the secondary. And then boots, invite, armor, and skeletal mage damage. Very important. On the weapon side, there's a couple things we would actually like to improve upon this weapon. The dream would be to get a weapon so good that you could roll off intelligence and go with a damage roll. So something like, you know, obviously a damage roll, attack speed, cooldown reduction, and percent damage. That would be the dream. And of course, secondary, you would want maximum essence. On the offhand, damage, invite, cooldown reduction, and critical hit chance are all a must, plus a essence roll on that secondary. Again guys, the more we build up our essence, the more damage we're gonna do. The bracers, as always guys, we're running the Nemesis bracers. Being able to spawn those champions off of shrines is amazing for speed. We're getting faster clear times, and ultimately we would want physical, invite, crit chance. Necklace, we would want physical, crit damage, crit chance. Now on the rings, Circle of Neluge Evil is one of those rare items that can actually roll well for the Necro jewelry, but ultimately we would want to have a dream rolled circle. It could be cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage, and a socket. But this has been the best we can get so far this season. The other ring slot, we're running Unity with cooldown reduction, so crit chance, increased damage versus elites, and reduced cooldown reduction with the socket. That's a pretty good roll for the Unity to get here. And again guys, we do run Crisbins in the cube because it's pretty hard to get a perfectly rolled Crisbin with 100% damage plus the stats that you want. And of course, while we were making this video, we got something that is actually pretty good. Ultimately, we would want something with attack speed, crit damage, and cooldown reduction. That would be the dream. And then cubing the Unity instead. But one of the questions I get all the time is, why aren't you running the Justice set? The Justice set says you get 400% increased damage, as opposed to the Scythe of the Cycle, which says you get 300% damage. 100% damage is clearly more. Well guys, I wanted to share with you this damage calculation that's done on D3 Planner. Again guys, d3planner.com is a great site. Now this could be not entirely accurate, but we just wanted to show you the DPS calculation that at least D3 Planner does. Show you guys it's actually not quite right. So adjust this, and again guys, this is the speed farm Singularity setup. But according to D3 Planner, with the right items in slot, with Jesseth instead of Scythe of the Cycle, we get around 131 trillion DPS. But you guys will notice, if we switch over to the setup we're running without Jesseth, we actually have 142 trillion DPS. Now, how could this possibly be? Because we're running a Phylactery in our offhand, it brings up our average damage. And also, because a Phylactery can roll maximum essence on its secondary, as opposed to the Jesseth, which actually can only roll a resistance or whatever in the secondary and can't even roll maximum essence. This setup actually turns out to be more DPS overall, which is pretty crazy. Now again, this could be wrong, but according to the DPS calculations, it all seems to add up. So before you even ask me, why aren't you using Jesseth? It's more damage. It's not, apparently. But I will also say another reason I don't like the Jesseth in this particular setup is because command skeletons, it will proc Crispin for you. It will freeze a target for 3 seconds, which is nice, but freezing one target versus stunning the entire screen with bone armor dislocation isn't quite as good, in my opinion. So being able to stun the whole screen, and then your mages just melt everything because they're getting triple damage bonus from your Crispin, I find to be a lot better than just freezing one target. Plus, bone armor is less cumbersome on your essence pool because command skeletons, it will drop from time to time, and it costs 45 essence to cast, whereas bone armor only costs 10. But again guys, this is just our opinion. You are more than welcome to run the standard Rathma setup. We just feel like this is more damage overall. Lastly, we're going to talk about gems real quick. Esoteric Alteration and Bane of the Trapped are absolute musts, no question about it. We do like to run Bane of the Powerful in this setup as well. Just that extra elite damage is really nice on stuff like Juggernauts and the Rift Guardian. But if you find you're really squishy, you can swap out Bane of the Powerful for Esoteric Alteration. This will really juice up your toughness, guys. This build is actually able to push quite far, but if you want to do that, make sure you swap out that Bane of the Powerful for Esoteric Alteration to get into the 90s. One of the things we didn't touch on in the Singularity Speed Farm build that we've kind of discovered from playing it so much is we actually stagger our cooldowns of Land of the Dead and Reservoir Simulacrum. So when we first enter the elite, we freeze enemies, get our bone armor stacks up, and we just start spamming those mage casts, get those guys out as fast as we can. And then once our mages drop to 6, we'll pop Simulacrum with a nice essence pool and spawn mages again. So that will give us more power for a longer duration, if that makes sense. And we do the same thing on the Singularity Speed Farm setup. This also makes it really nice in case you die. You might be able to respawn with either Land of the Dead or Simulacrum available to you. So dying isn't the end of the world. Again guys, staggering those two cooldowns is really nice practice to get into. Lastly, I will say that if you find that Singularity Speed is just too difficult to not get one shot on, you can run this setup in GR70s, and it's pretty freaking tanky in GR70s, and it's not going to be as fast, guys, because you're not running in-gyam proc with Blood Rush and just flying around the map. But just like the Blood Mage, you kind of slowly progress and just delete everything on the screen, so it still ends up being pretty fast. And plus, this would be really tanky setup for GR70. So again guys, if you're having trouble with the Singularity Speed Farm build and you just can't survive, maybe give this a shot for your GR70s. But that's pretty much going to do it, guys. We're going to put a clear at the end of this video. It is a GR79 in 3 minutes. It's a pretty great rift. But again guys, stop by the stream anytime. See us just fly through GR80s with this setup. This rarely does it in over 4 minutes, unless you just die a few times. But even when you die, you still clear in 40 minutes and under. But that's pretty much going to do it for the build guide, guys. As always, like, subscribe, come over to Twitch, ask your questions. We love you guys. Peace out.